Welcome to the Sports Pavilion. I'm Dana Newton here with Mia Taberson tonight in Minneapolis, Minnesota, the Sports Pavilion, home of the Golden Gophers for the first round of the NCAA tournament. Tonight the Gophers will be taking on Radford, and we're going to cut to Abby Clear on their sideline right now.
Tonight we are seeing the number 10 Minnesota take on Radford. Previously, before in the game, we saw Colorado beat Iowa State, so whoever wins tonight's match will take on Colorado tomorrow night. This is the second matchup ever between these two teams, with Minnesota taking the win back in 2001. Radford earned its bid in tonight's tournament with beating Coastal Carolina in the Big South Conference Championship game. As for Minnesota, this is their 19th appearance ever in the NCAA tournament, and five times in the last 6 years they have hosted the first two rounds. So Minnesota is a very hard home team to defeat. And with that, we are about to see a great and exciting night of volleyball. All right, back to you, Mia.
Hi, thank you, Abby. Yes, as she had mentioned, this is a huge home court advantage for Minnesota. The Pavilion in past years has become a premier volleyball home court advantage. They are raking in, on average, 4,241 fans in this 2013 season, and they are ranked 4th nationally in home attendance. The Gophers are on a big win streak. They have won 11 of the last 13 matches here at home, only dropping matches to Penn State and Nebraska, who both finished 1st and 2nd, respectively, in the Big Ten season. But on the other side, Radford is on a huge win streak as well. Dana, as we look back at their stats, they have won the last 7 matches, had a great season, 25-9. You know, they are going to be a tough team to beat tonight.
True, Mia. Radford comes in with 25-9 overall. Minnesota 27-6 overall. Definitely going to be a great match tonight. The Gophers excited with the home court advantage, and Radford excited to play in front of a big home crowd. Their coach was talking earlier and said how excited they were to play in this pavilion tonight.
Yes, and as we look around the pavilion, there are tons of fans. Yes, lots wearing maroon and gold supporting the Gophers, but Radford has a nice showing here as well, and it's just a great environment to come out and play volleyball, especially starting off this NCAA tournament run. As we look back at the history, Radford, this is the first time they've been in the tournament since in the last 13 years. Gophers obviously being a continual NCAA presence, but anything can happen here. As we saw in the match before, we had an upset by Colorado. You know, we could see the very same thing tonight.
Definitely, and the last time these two teams met, Minnesota pulled it out, but they met on neutral ground in Virginia. And that was back in, I believe, 2000 was the last time Radford was in the tournament. Radford starting off with the serve from number 7, Jenna Braden. The Gophers give them a free ball, and it's back to the right side. Radford tries to tip it, but gets into the block of Santana and Dixon. Point Gophers.
Yes, and watching that first point, looks like Radford's really going to try and run a quick offense. They set the ball back to the right side hitter, but it was very low. It was underneath the height of the antenna, but unfortunately it was a little too low, too fast for the right side hitter to get the kill.
Minnesota sticking with the 6-2 for the tournament. Shaw back to serve for the Gophers. And that goes back to Carly Hauer, who slams it down the line. Point Gophers.
Carly Hauer is a sophomore from Minnesota. She had a great swing on that line. You know, the Radford block left her just a little bit of court to hit into, and she managed to string the ball right through that spot.
And there's a tip by Radford's right side. Back to Hauer again. Radford gets a hand on it and gets the point.
In that
point
rally,
Radford.
Yes, Radford gets that point, and in that rally, you can see they tried to run a combination play. So what Radford's trying to do, they see Minnesota has a very big block who scored lots of points for them this season. Radford's trying to mix up the offense, bringing their outside and right side hitters into the middle of the court, and then taking their middle hitters to other directions.
And a big swing from Dixon off Shaw. Point Gophers.
Yes, Tori Dixon has been a huge offensive weapon for the Gophers this year. She's hitting in the middle, but she also stays in the back row and will sometimes hit a back row attack behind the 10-foot line, giving her more opportunities to score points.
And she's a very dynamic player. They've been using her on both pins as well. And we see that power again. She has been on a roll the last few games. Her and Whitman receiving Big Ten honors. And Hannah Tapp, freshman, the other middle blocker, also got all freshman team.
Yes, Minnesota has definitely earned a lot of accolades, but Radford could definitely contend with them in this match. They've had a lot of success in their conference, and as you can see, getting that point, their middle, number 4, going up against 3 big Minnesota blockers, but still managing to get the point.
Cantrell playing smart and sneaks it through the block. Jackson back to serve for Radford. Out to Whitman. Whitman takes a swing, caught in the Radford block, and they play it up. Santana with the set, and Whitman gets the touch off the outside middle hand. Great swing by Ashley Whitman.
Yes, as you said, Dana, that was a very nice hit by number 13, Minnesota's outside. She got blocked on the first ball. It was recovered by her teammates, but then she goes and swings high, hits the ball off the blocker's hands, and gets a point.
And it's out to Wachecki. She takes a swing at the Gophers, pick it up. Out to Whitman again. And she nails James hard in the chest in the back row. Great effort by Radford.
I like as this match is getting started, Whitman's really using her shot. She hits the ball high off the block, and the previous point that we discussed, that on that set she turns it down the line, really showing a lot of versatility as a hitter.
And the Gophers float, catches James high again. That's a tough ball to pass.
Yes, definitely. As a passer, you know, people want to think that the topspin serve, like Dally Santana serves, is the most difficult serve. But a lot of times it's that float serve, because the ball can move so much if you get a good hand contact, making it really tough for the passer to track.
You're dead on, Mia. That's completely right. And there, it catches her in front. What a great mix-up by Tori Dixon. She has really stepped up her serving game this year. I think she's improved a lot than what we've seen in previous years.
Yes, she's back at the service line, attacking the passing line of Radford just like she would if she were hitting. She's picking her spots, she's mixing up her shots, she's trying to score her team points from the front row and the back row.
And the Gophers target Wachecki, but she passes it and gets the kill down the line, catching Shaw high. And Roblicki's back to serve for the Highlanders. Float serve. Received by Santana, and Whitman cross court for the kill.
Starting off this match, Ashley Whitman is hitting very well. She scored 3 of the last hits that she's gotten, and she's every single time hitting a different shot. As we had talked about before, that one was cut sharp inside. She took a little bit off, and the ball dropped right inside the.
It really seems like her and freshman setter Shaw have a really good connection. And it's back to Nora, but it's tight. Tapp tries to cover it, unsuccessful. Point Highlanders. And Wachecki is back to serve.
Yes, on that previous play, that was an unfortunate set by Dally Santana, pushing her right side, Adriana Nora, just a little bit too tight. That set doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be hittable.
And Palmer to the back row, Santana powers through. It's out to James, who tips it over. Whitman on the right side, hard down the line. Ashley Whitman really coming out strong at the beginning of this match.
Yes, and Dana, as you pointed out, Ashley Whitman hit that ball on the right side of the court. Normally she hits on the left side, but in some rotations, the serve receive is set up in which Adriana Nora is hitting on the left, Ashley on the right, and they decided to stay versus frantically switch back. Some coaches like to switch, some coaches like to stay. It just depends on the player's personnel.
And Deininger gets the touch on the slide off Dally Santana, point Highlanders.
Yes, I think a key for Radford would be really to mix up their offense, to use all their offensive weapons and to move their hitters around the court, not just staying fixed to the outside, middle, or right side positions, but getting creative to really try and disrupt the Minnesota block.
Definitely, and just like it was key for Colorado in the last match, both teams' defense is going to be crucial.
Yes. The defensive pursuit, you know, if they get a touch or they get one dig, but maybe not a perfect dig, they need to continue to attack the ball and try to do whatever they can just to get the ball back onto their opponent's side of the net.
Lawmaster with the serve out of the back row with Wachecki. Lawmaster digs it up, and Nora takes a big swing. Highlanders get a hand on it, and James, the Gophers get it back over. And it's out to James again. She's going to go quick and caught in the Gopher block. And it goes bad off Lawmaster's hands. Point Highlanders. Great consistency there. The setter kept trusting James, and James just kept keeping it in. And that's the way you wear down a team.
Yes, definitely. I really like the athleticism that I see in James or outside. She's a very athletic player. She can do a lot of things, and she can score points for this Radford team.
Great pass by Santana to Dixon, and back out to Santana. And another swing to Dixon. Great quick right there. It really looks like they're connecting.
Yes, and as you see, the Minnesota offense is trying to push the middle ball very, very quick. So that's to their advantage. They can beat the Radford block by being up in the air faster and quicker and more aggressively than the Radford defensive side.
Katie Shaw, freshman setter, back in the game. And James catches a little bit of the antenna. Point Gophers.
Yes, I think James is trying to hit the ball down the line at the setter, number 3, Shaw, to take the setter out of the offense, but she just nicked the antenna.
What I'd really like to see her do is hit some high hands and use that block to her advantage.
Definitely. As you mentioned, Dana, the block can score points for the defensive side. They can stop the ball at the net, but they can also be to the offense's advantage. You can go up, and you can aim for those hands and then hit out of bounds. You actually finish facing out of bounds as a hitter. It's a risky shot, but oftentimes it's unrecoverable by the defense.
Yeah, Radford really needs to dig in their heels here. With Santana, a powerful hit cross court. They have some powerful hitters on this Gopher team. They need to dig in and get it and get under there and play the ball.
Yes, again, that was Santana with a nice hit on the right side. She's able to hit from the left and the right and score points on either side. As you saw in that replay, she streamed that ball right down the line at the Radford libero, and she was unable to handle that play.
Santana serving. She has a great topspin serve. Out to Wachecki, and she catches the line. It seems like those sets, the last few, have gone a little wide and traps their outsides a little bit, so they don't have much to go. And we'll be back in just a second. Welcome back to the Sports Pavilion. I'm Dana Knutson here with Mia Taberson watching the Gophers take on Radford Highlanders. The score right now is Radford 7, Minnesota 15. Minnesota has the ball, Santana to serve.
Yes, and Dana, in watching this match so far, Minnesota has a lot of offensive weapons that have been attacking Radford, both from the front row and from the back row from the service line. We've seen Tori Dixon get an ace. Now Dallas Santana has an ace of her own. Radford is really going to have to step up from the defensive side and the passing side to compete with these Gophers.
Definitely. Minnesota coming out aggressively and confidently. Radford needs to do the same. And she's long that time. One ace for Santana and one service error.
That service error was definitely in Radford's favor. Now they can have the opportunity to make a run and really push to get this score a little bit closer.
And Jackson is back to serve for the Highlanders. It's a short serve. Lawmaster is there. And back to Howard down the line. That really seems to be working for her tonight.
Definitely. When, as you saw, Radford had the serving strategy to serve short into the Minnesota offense to try and disrupt the hitters, Tori Dixon is a key hitter. They want to serve short, possibly take her out. One less hitter to worry about. Then Minnesota is forced to set to either the left side or the right side, and it makes it easier for Radford to defend. Unfortunately, Minnesota Gophers still got the point anyways.
Deininger took a great swing at that. And she gets the kill. Roblicki back to serve. Santana with the pass. Shaw out to Whitman. And great cut by Whitman. Whitman is looking unstoppable tonight.
Yes, Ashley Whitman has had 4 kills so far in this set. 3 of the 4 have been off of Shaw. They agree. I do agree. They seem to have a really great connection, those two. And Ashley Whitman just has her choice of shots. She's hit just about anywhere on the court.
And we've seen some really good connections between Palmer and Nora this season. Definitely looking to fire her up early. It's great to spread the block like that. And right back to her. Radford picks it up. Great dig. And Radford gets that point. Great dig by Jackson.
Yes, that play started with a great defensive effort, as you had said, Dana, but it really looks like the Radford outside hitters are aiming for that line shot on the Gophers. They hit 2 balls off the antenna, and now this 3rd ball, they still are aiming for the line, and that time was successful.
Lawmaster with the pass. Palmer out to Nora on the left, and she does a great tool of the Radford block. Point Gophers. That's a very smart swing.
Yes, I agree, Dana. I like how Nora went up and was aggressively attacking the block. She didn't fear it as something that could stop her. She used the block to her advantage.
James with the overpass. Tap. Sets it back over. And she hits it that time. Tap with the kill. That's freshman Hannah Tap. All freshman team really stepped up this season for the Gophers.
Yes, I like how Tap is able to use her shot. She didn't get quite the setting connection that she wanted, so she just tips the ball in play, but is still able to get a point. And now has a great block to go along with that kill.
Hannah Tap is actually one of the leaders in blocking in the Big Ten, which is surprising for a freshman. But she has big hands, big long arms, great advantage for a middle blocker.
And I think part of that as well is attributed to Hugh McCutcheon's coaching. He definitely spends a lot of time in the Gopher gym coaching that blocking. They spend a lot of time and energy trading footwork, eyesight, and just learning how to really be an effective blocker.
Whitman, great pass up to Nora, and that's slammed down, and that is a momentum bringer. The pavilion just got really loud. Great kill by Adriana Nora.
And that was a tough play for Radford to defend. They had a good block set up. They had defenders in the right place, but Nora just overpowered those Radford girls.
I wouldn't want to be under that ball. And another powerful swing from Deininger. Radford is not going to be disheartened here. They're fighting.
Yes, that was a great swing by the middle for Radford. I like how they're running that quick middle offense. It's going to really open up their other hitters, disrupt the block on Minnesota's side, and hopefully get them some more points.
Widener back to serve for Radford. And it goes to Santana. And a big swing by Hannah Tap. Great connection there. Love to see them running that middle and really using that.
Yes, Hannah Tap had a nice run through. She got 2 kills. She got a block. She did her job, and now she's back out, and Tori Dixon comes into the court.
James with the pass. Back out of the back row to a checky. It's blocked by the Gophers. Messy net play. And the Gophers keep it up. Great cover. And Radford misses it by a hair.
That was a nice shot by Santana. She took a little bit off her outside swing. Wasn't going for a straight down kill, but the ball drops right in front of the Radford defenders, and it's a tough ball to dig.
Yeah, Roblicki was right there. 1 more inch.
Yep.
Lawmaster with the float serve. By Wachecki out of the 3. Out, big rip by Santana.
She didn't take
so
much
much power.
No, she did not take much off that swing.
You know what I love, though? She's such a powerful player, but we've seen her this year really use her roll shots and tips a lot more, and that's great.
Definitely. She's becoming a smarter hitter as she plays the game a little bit more. I look forward to see what she brings us in the second set. Let's take a break, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Minnesota 25, Radford 11. We're back with the second set. Welcome back to the Sports Pavilion in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Lawmaster back to serve for the Gophers. And it's out to Wachecki. She takes a swing and it's off the block. Palmer back to Nora. And Nora swings high hands and gets the kill. Lawmaster serving again. Wachecki, powerful swing off Lawmaster's hands high. Wachecki back to serve for Radford. James with a big swing on the outside. Lawmaster up to Palmer, and Dixon gets the kill in the middle.
That was a nice kill by Tori Dixon in the middle. They ran the 31 play. The ball goes right off the blocker's hands, and that's a tough ball to defend. It's outside the court, and they can't make a dig.
Shaw back to serve for the Gophers. And missed connection there for Radford. Gophers take the point.
You know, that was a nice play Radford tried to run. They tried to run their right side with a quick back set. Unfortunately, it didn't quite connect.
A big swing by Santana. Radford staying in there. Good rally going on. And another big swing. Libero hanging in there. Jackson doing a really nice job for Radford. And then Minnesota gets the point off that one. Small net. Those errors are tough.
Yes, that was nice to see. Radford put up 3 blockers versus Tori Dixon. Tori scores a lot of points for the Gophers, so has earned that blocking attention. But Minnesota still scores the points anyways.
James with the kill uses the Gopher block.
On that last play, that was a really nice swing by the outside hitter. Again, we've talked about all night how it's to the hitter's advantage to really challenge that block and hit the ball off their hands and out of bounds. On the blocking side, to correct the error, you just need to push your hands back to the middle of the court and direct the ball where you want it to go.
And Hauer, the great swing deep court. Radford having trouble handling this, and it's a free ball for the Gophers. Mishandle and messy play. Definitely some communication errors going on both sides here. James, smart play, throws it in. And Dixon is quick there, but Radford gets the point.
Yes,
and that's a double for the Gophers.
2 unforced errors early in this set, one on Radford's side with the net error, and then now on Katie Shaw with the setting error. We'd like to see that be cleaned up just a little bit here in the second set.
Shaw back to Santana. Lawmaster, great cover there. And Hauer, smart tip, but Radford throws it back. And again, great effort there by Radford to keep that ball alive.
Yes, as you see throughout that rally, Radford's getting a lot of touches on the block versus Minnesota's offense. It seems they've scouted these hitters well. They know what they want to do. They're getting the stops, but they just can't quite convert that to a point.
Minnesota 5, Radford 3 right now, and Santana with her second ace of the night. You know, that's been a key for the Gophers. Santana serving has given them a really big advantage. She has a very powerful serve, very impressive to watch.
Yes, she does. And as a passer, you go back and you see Dally Santana at the service line and you get a little bit nervous. You might tighten up just a little bit because she's really aggressively driving that serve, but there are times where you get lucky and she makes a service error as well.
Lucky point for Radford, service error. And that's Roe Blicky back to serve for Radford. Pass by Whitman back to Dixon, hitting on the right side, and she gets the kill there. I love how dynamic Dixon is. We've seen her run quick in the middle, fast on the pins, and hopefully we're going to see her some back row hits here later in the game.
Yes, I really like what Minnesota's doing. They're using their hitters in all different facets of the game. You see sometimes they keep Ashley Whitman on the right side, and they move Nora to the outside. There in that serve-retrieve rotation, they kept Tori on the right side and ran Carly Howard quick in the middle. They have a lot of versatility. It makes it tough for the other team to defend, and I'd like to see Minnesota keep using those different options.
Definitely another service error for the Gophers. McCutcheon doesn't look too happy about that. Howard, big swing, kill. Carly Howard on the right side. Point Gophers.
You know, Carly Howard has been a really nice addition to this team. She hadn't played much early on in the season, but has come in the second half of the Big Ten and the NCAA tournament and been an offensive weapon. In this match already, she has scored 4 points and has done a really nice job for the Gophers.
Senior setter Alexander Palmer with the serve. And that kill was from Radford's Deininger, and Lawmaster is unable to pick that up. Point Highlanders.
I like to see that Radford's hitters are mixing up their shots. They're giving some tough swings, hitting line, hitting cross, but they're also able to tip and roll shots. You know, sometimes you don't need to hit the ball straight down to get a point.
And a service error from Radford's Whitinger. And Whitman is back to serve. Seeing quite a few service errors right here. What do you think that is, Mia?
You know, in the match we were talking about before, there was a lot of, you know, service errors at the beginning, and I think part of that can be contributed to NCAA jitters, playing in a new court environment. Radford hasn't played here at the Pavilion. It's a different feel. This is a very large gym with a high ceiling. There's lots of things that can contribute to service errors. Hopefully, on both sides, these errors will get cleaned up so we can see a great volleyball match, but service errors come with a job.
Big block by the Gophers. And Wachecki takes a swing at it. Whitman, the set to Nora. Radford really working the system. They're doing a great job defending over there. And smart play by Radford's Cantrell. Lawmaster unable to pick that up.
There you see Radford again went for the soft game. On the previous point, they scored with a roll shot. On this point, they scored with a tip. And that's not something Minnesota's used to. Minnesota plays in the Big Ten Conference with a lot of powerful hitters who don't tend to tip and roll very much. Radford, they're a little bit smaller team, not quite as physical. They have to be smart hitters.
And tap, big swing out of the middle. She had great momentum going into that ball.
Yes, she did. There was a power behind that swing that was tough for the Radford defenders to get a touch on.
Lawmaster back to serve for the Gophers. She has a nice float serve that kind of keeps the defense off balance. And Cantrell with another kill. Great placement there. Catches out Dally Santana's hands and falls down there.
Yes, and as you saw, there Radford went again with a combination play. They took their middle on a slide to kind of disrupt the Minnesota block, and it worked to their advantage. The ball went right through Dally Santana's hands, as you said, and actually ended up bouncing her on the head.
And it's back to Nora on the right side. Big block by James. Great technique. She was up early, camped out, hands facing back in. Great play by James.
You know, Dana, I'm really impressed with Radford's blocking so far tonight. In the first set, they had 2 blocks versus Minnesota's powerful offense. And here again, they stopped one of Minnesota's most effective hitters, Nora, on the right side. They have come ready to stop these hitters. And now again, they blocked Dally.
And that's a double off Gopher Santana. Point Radford. Wachecki back to serve for the Highlanders. Radford 10, Minnesota 11 right now. Radford really needs to keep the pressure on and get the Gophers' momentum stay down. Dixon with the big swing, and Radford gets a piece of it. That's to Wachecki in the back end. She slices it in.
Yes, and as we watch that rally, I really like how we've talked about Radford's blocking in the last couple points. They touched every single ball at the net, and that's to their defense advantage. If Radford can just get one hand or one finger on those Minnesota attacks, they can slow it down enough and redirect it enough for their defenders to get a great dig.
Big swing by Dixon on the outside, but Radford right in it. I think they have really scouted the Gophers well. Back to Nora on the right side, and she keeps it in play. Big swing by James, and she goes for it, but catches the block. Block for Nora and Dixon out on the left.
That was a nice block by the Gophers. They had closed the hole. Tori had made it all the way over to Nora on the right side, and both hands were pushing back towards 6th. There was not much the Radford outsides could do with that play.
And Shaw and Howard back in the game, the Gophers. That was back to Medema for Radford. Santana takes a swing and just makes it through the hole. You know, another thing, her power is obvious, but you know, she's very quick. She takes a very fast set and she blasts it through before the block is able to set up. Huge advantage.
Definitely. And you know, my favorite part about Santana is her emotional investment in the match. She came down from that kill, fist pumping, screaming, trying to motivate her team. This is really important that she wins every single point. And she is just such a workhorse for this Gopher team.
Definitely. And you know, the more you scream and yell, the more the other team feels it too. So great advantage, great emotion by her.
Yes,
Shaw
definitely.
back to serve for the Gophers. James with the pass. It's back to Wachecki out of the back row. Another one to Wachecki, and she is really moving that ball around. Wachecki has been Radford's go-to player, and she shows why here.
Yes, it's interesting to see that even though Wachecki's in the back row, she's playing middle back, she's still getting almost just as many sets as she does in the front row. So you can see the setters are really using her as an offensive weapon, regardless of where she is in the court, and has 5 kills to show for it tonight.
And Howard and Dixon switching there. Swing by James, Lawmaster digs it, and it's out to Howard. Deep court swing, and it's up. Radford looking to keep it in play here, and the pass is short. Point you.
I'm not sure what Radford was thinking on that play. They tried to sneak the ball over when really that ball just needs to be played onto the court.
Well, I think Wachecki got caught high on that pass, and that definitely throws off. That first pass really can set what kind of tempo offense you can run after that. Timeout here, and we'll be back in just a minute. Welcome back to the second set at the Sports Pavilion. First round of NCAA playoff. Radford versus Minnesota. Minnesota taking the first set 25-11. Right now, Minnesota 15, Radford 12. Gophers have the ball. Santana back to serve. Off pass there by Radford. James goes to play it, but gets caught in Dixon's block. That is a big block over there.
Yes, Tori Dixon has definitely improved her blocking presence as her career at the Minnesota Gophers has progressed. You know, she has scored as many points as she does attacking as she does blocking.
Santana, powerful serve. Wachecki handles it. And a tip out of the middle by Radford. Back to Howard, who blocked Radford. Big block there for James and Deininger.
That was a nice block by Radford. It looks like there was a little bit of confusion on the Minnesota side as to who was going to cover that. Dixon and Howard both looked at each other, when in that situation, one person just needs to be the aggressor and take that ball.
Definitely. And a big swing by Whitman, but it's out. Point Highlanders.
You know, Whitman, number 13 for the Gophers, has scored a lot of points for them thus far in this match. I think that was her first hitting error. It'll be interesting to see if the setter, Shaw, goes back to her again or if she picks a different hitter.
Pass from Whitman and back out to her, and she gets the kill that time. Great to see that repeat set.
Yes, I like when a setter trusts their hitter enough that even though they make one error, they're willing to go to them a second time, right in a row. It rebuilds the hitter's confidence. It reassures them that just because they made one error doesn't mean they won't get set the rest of the match. Now, however, if Ashley Whitman had made a second hitting error, then Shaw might not set her a third time for a little bit.
And Dixon gets that dig, but it's tight. Wachecki out of the back row. And it's back to Dixon in that back row hit. Love to see her hitting out of the back row. And that's point Gophers. They get caught up at the net there and get under Whitman and tap.
Yes, on that last contact, there was a misconnect between the Radford setter and middle hitter. It looked like the setter pushed the set just a little bit past the hitter's window. And as you can see, when you're running those quick tempo middle sets, you need to be exactly precise, right on, because there's just not enough time to correct any mistake that might happen.
And big block there by Carly Hauer.
Now I'm looking at the Minnesota front line. It's nice to see they have two girls, both Hannah Tapp and Carly Hauer. This is their first season contributing on the court. A veteran Ashley Whitman, but they play just like they've played in this conference and this NCAA tournament their entire lives.
Really looking unified on the Gopher block here. And we're in timeout. We'll be back in just a second. Welcome back to the Sports Pavilion. I'm Dana Knutson here with Mia Taberson. Gophers 20, Highlanders 14. Dixon back to serve. And that's back kill by Dininger off the slide.
That was a nice play by Radford, running the middle again behind the setter, creating some space in their offense, making it tough for the Minnesota block to defend.
Timeout, the Gophers were a little late getting out to that pin, leaving that hole there for Radford to take advantage of. James back to serve for the Highlanders. Received by Santana, back to Hauer, takes a swing at it. Jackson picks it up. And Dininger with another kill on the tip.
Yes, and as we watch the second set, Radford has scored now 3 times on that tip play, twice over to Lawmaster from that middle. I think that's something the Minnesota side is going to have to make a defensive adjustment. Otherwise, Radford should keep doing it until they can stop it.
Yeah, that's a great spot for a middle tip. It's very hard to pick up. And Wachecki takes a swing, but big block by Hauer and Tapp on the outside. They were waiting for that.
Yes, and as Wachecki came down from that hit, she looked very frustrated that her teammates did not help her by covering her, because even if a ball gets blocked, the Radford side could still make an effort for that ball. They could get 3 contacts all over again. They have another opportunity to get the point.
I'd really like to see some aggression from the Radford setter. Wachecki trying to keep it in play there. Back to Santana in the back row, and she takes a whack at it. And there's that setter jump right there from Radford. Trying to keep it live there. Great. She's got to help Wachecki out because she is getting camped out on that outside.
Yes, Dana, as you were talking about, it's important for the setter to get involved in the offense because otherwise it gets very predictable. The Minnesota block can release to certain hitters here and there, put 2 blockers, sometimes even 3, and then it makes it tough for Radford to score points. But if the setter gets a little more involved, it keeps your options open.
And that serves out for Radford by a hair. Whitman back to serve. Checky with the pass and back out to her. Nora with the block on that. And she takes another swing. Whitman is there. Whitman does a really nice job passing in the backcourt. She actually has the highest digs on the Gopher team. It's very interesting. Normally it's a libero. And the Gophers mishandled that 1 point Radford.
Dana, I was impressed with Wachecki's hit on that last play, because did you see Dally Santana went over to block? Minnesota put up 3 blockers. They had a pretty good intuition that the outside Wachecki was going to get set, and she did. So they tried to put their best blocking lineup up, yet she was still able to score. What a great swing by her.
Definitely. Braden back to serve. To Santana, and it's off. Radford with the block. And Palmer back out to Santana. Great repeat set there. Tool by Santana off the block.
Again, we've talked about that tool shot all night long. Whenever a hitter is able to hit the ball off the blocker's hands and out of bounds, it is to the hitter's advantage. It's very, very tough to defend.
Lawmaster with the float serve. Braden out to the outside. Wachecki deep corner. That is a great spot for an outside hit and definitely a weak spot for the Gophers.
Definitely. On any team, the corner between the middle back and the left back is very susceptible. It is the longest shot in the game. There's 37 feet of court, and it's not a glorious shot. It's not a straight down that's going to get the crowd going, but it's a consistent shot that almost always scores.
And Dixon with the kill off the quick. Great connection there between Palmer and Dixon. Doing a really nice job running that quick. I really like Minnesota's middles. They do a really nice job. They get up very fast and very effective. Pavilions on their feet. Game point for the Gophers. James with the pass. And block for the Gophers. The Gophers take the second set, 25-19. Minnesota 2 sets to none. We'll be back after this.
Minnesota head coach Hugh McCutcheon. Coach, you took the first 2 games. What are you going to do to come out to close the match?
Well, hopefully play some good volleyball. You know, we'd expect that Radford would play a little bit better in the second set, and they certainly did that. And I thought for us we were a little impatient. I think we were hoping it would all be like the first, and that's never going to be the way, not in this tournament. So hopefully we can show a little more composure, play a little harder, and execute a little better, and you know, close us out.
All right, thank you so much for talking with us. All right, back to you guys.
Thanks, Abby. Great to hear from Coach Hugh McCutcheon. Getting ready for this third set. We'll be back after the break. Pavilion in Minneapolis, Minnesota, the NCAA first round volleyball playoffs. My name's Dana Newton, and I'm here with Mia Taberson tonight. The Gophers are up 2 sets to none against Radford Highlanders. The first scores 11 and 19 for Radford, so they are definitely improving every set, looking for another improvement this game, still coming in strong. What are your thoughts here, Mia?
Definitely. As we look at Radford, they have 2 hitters that are noteworthy, both Emma Dittinger and Savannah Cantrell. Emma hitting 500 and Cantrell hitting 286. Then we look on the Gopher side, they have 3 hitters hitting very well. Ashley Whitman, they're outside hitting 500, and then both middles, Tori and Hannah. Tori Dixon is hitting 583, and Tapp is hitting 667, giving the Gophers an advantage from the attacking side, hitting a 324. And those numbers are all very impressive, Dana.
Definitely, Mia. Radford with a tough start here, first with a service error and then a hitting error by Wachecki. Shaw back to serve for the Gophers. Definitely want to start strong, so tough start for Radford. James with the pass. And that's played back in. Shaw out to Santana, and she takes a whack at it. Point Gophers.
That was a great swing by Santana. A nice set by Shaw. That ball was pushed with a nice speed and tempo, which gave Santana only 1 block to worry about. She had a nice seam between the 2 blockers and was able to get a very dynamic kill.
Shaw targeting that outside and catches Wachecki out. And Dixon nails it down, point Gophers.
Yes, as you see, that middle set was run so quick and so effectively that Radford had nothing they could do. They could get their hands up to try and deflect the ball, but unfortunately, they were not able to convert that touch into a dig and a future transition.
Shaw still serving for the Gophers. Checky puts it up, and it's out to her. And she's going for that line, but misses it long. Tough hitting errors right now for Radford. They're in the hole now, Minnesota 5, Radford 0. And timeout for Radford. We'll be back in a second. And we're back, Minnesota 5, Radford 0 in a third set here tonight, the first round of NCAAs. Really impressed by Dixon's quick. She's really coming in hard, and Radford's having trouble shutting that down. Radford really needs to get themselves out of this hole right now. Shaw back to serve for Minnesota. And it's a tight pass. Dixon throws it down, really showing her senior presence at the net. The Gophers have 3 seniors this year, Dixon, Whitman, and Palmer. And they're definitely making a big presence here on the court tonight.
Yes, this potentially could be the Gophers' last night playing at home, but if they win this third set, they'll get one more opportunity to play here in front of their home crowd as seniors in the pavilion with these great fans that have supported them all season long.
Definitely, and we saw Colorado earlier, and Santana with the kill there. And if the Gophers win this third set, then they will face Colorado tomorrow night. Radford really needs to side out here. Another serve from Katie Shaw. And that's in. Radford catches a break here. Wachecki back to serve for the Highlanders.
Yes, and Dan, as you can see throughout this whole match, the outsides for Radford have carried a huge offensive weight, whether they're in the front row or the back row. Wachecki and James both scoring on the outside hitting position and in that middle back position. Their set are really having a lot of trust in those two athletes.
And another kill by Tori Dixon out of the middle. She is really on fire right now, is definitely their go-to player, showing some power in the front row there.
Yes, and looking at the stats, Dixon right now has 10 kills. She leads the Gophers. Closest behind her is Santana with 8 kills.
And that's in, another ace by Santana.
That marks Dally Santana's 3rd ace, and the 3 points that she's gotten, those 3 aces, have just dropped in. The Radford passing line thinks the ball is going to go out of bounds, but there's just enough topspin on that ball to bring it inside the court.
And Jackson picks it up, but it's tight, and Dixon throws it down. Point Gophers. You know, it's hard. Santana is so powerful. It's hard to absorb that power and keep from overpassing. Because overpassing, the Gophers are going to slam it back down. Radford needs to keep that ball on their side.
Definitely. And the blockers for the Gopher side right now need to be really tuned in, knowing that with Santana back to serve, just as you said, the chances of an overpass, as this one might sneak over but doesn't, when Dally's serving, the chances of an overpass increase dramatically. So the blockers need to be ready to go up with 2 hands and redirect the ball, as Tori did a couple plays ago, or they need to be ready to attack the ball over. If the ball comes a little more over the net than that, then they pass the ball and they run their offense.
Dally Santana serving nails right now. Shaw shoots it out to Whitman, and she puts it down. Radford starting to look defeated here. Minnesota up 12-1.
Yes, that is a dramatic lead for the Gophers, and I think has started with their service pressure. The Gophers, both Shaw, who made the long run at the beginning, and now Santana, they're going back, they're keeping their serve in, and they're putting pressure on the Radford passing line.
Radford really needs a change of energy, and it's tough here in the Gophers' home pavilion where they're not getting that much support.
And now Santana marks her 5th assist, or excuse me, her 5th ace. She could potentially have as many aces as she does kills by the end of this set.
Definitely. Santana on fire tonight, keeping it in bounds.
Yes, Dana, as you said, it'll be a key for Santana to keep this serve in bounds as this run continues. She doesn't want to let the Radford team off the hook with a service error. She wants to make them earn their way out. Radford has to get a good pass, good set, and transition, rather than banking on Santana making a service error.
And they tried there. They got the ball up to Medema, but Whitman blocked it, got it down. Santana still serving. She's on a roll. And nails Jackson high. That is a tough ball to pass. Wachecki keeps it in. Got a rally going here. And Whitman swings wide, looking for high hands there, but misses.
No, Dana, I think she got the touch.
We got some calls here.
It looks like the up official has overruled. The line judge closest to Ashley Whitman thought he saw a touch. He called the touch, but the final discretion is left to the up official. He made the final ruling that no, in fact, there was not a touch, giving Radford the point. But Radford makes a service error, so the ball goes back to Gophers anyways.
That is a tough service error to make. They've been stuck in a rut. They finally get the ball in, and they miss the serve.
Yes. And now Tori Dixon is another great server for the Gophers. Goes back to the service line and will really put the pressure on Radford.
Dininger with the swing. Shaw gets it up. Hauer with the swing on the right. And that's a Tori Dixon in the back row. Great swing by her. Point Minnesota.
Yes, I like how Shaw was able to use Dixon in the back row attack. It adds more versatility to the offense. And now looks like we have a timeout by Radford. We'll be back in just a moment.
Welcome back to the Sports Pavilion. I'm Dana Knutson here with Mia Taberson. We have Tori Dixon back to serve for the Gophers, up 16-2. In this third set, if they take this set, they will play Colorado tomorrow night at 7 p.m. in the Sports Pavilion, Minneapolis, Minnesota. And Radford takes a swing for it.
You know, Dana, that was a nice swing by the Radford outsides, who have been scoring lots of points for their team. They use the block to their advantage, and that ball is deflected just out of bounds.
Roblicki's back to serve. Shaw, one-handed touch, and Tapp is able to put it down. Those long arms come advantage on those kind of sets.
Yes, that was a nice save by Shaw and kept in play by Tapp, and it looks like we have some substitutions, some new players on the floor. We have Paige Tapp coming in on the right side as Alexander Palmer goes back row to set.
Haven't seen Paige get much time this year. Paige and Hannah on the court. Everybody's excited to see that in the PAP. She got a big round of applause, native Minnesotan.
And it's also nice to see they are freshman twin sisters, number 7 and number 4, both Tapps. You know, they look pretty similar and playing different positions, but they do a great job for the Gophers.
And Palmer with the dig out to Paige Tapp. She takes a swing. Radford picks it up. And Deininger misses that one. Hitting error, Radford, point you.
Yes, as this match wraps up, it's really important for Minnesota Gophers to maintain this intensity and this focus. Even though there's a large point spread, 19-3, the Gophers want to set the tone for their potential match tomorrow. They want to have lots of confidence coming in. They don't want to end this match with poor play. They want to build in their NCAA run as they get their 20th point of the night.
And that's Savannah Burton for Radford. Hits it out on the outside.
And you hear, Dana, the crowd is going for Sarah Wilhite, number 8, who just came in back row for Dally Santana. Again, another great Minnesota native.
And freshman. Wachecki with a powerful swing out of the back row. Tapp sets it up to Paige. She keeps it inbounds. And Deininger gets the point there, going between Whitman and Tapp.
Again, Radford does a nice job, as we talked about in the second set, of finding ways to score points with, if they can't power the ball through the Minnesota block, they can surely tip and shot their way through. Again, in the middle, she snuck a tip in between Ashley Whitman and Hannah Tapp's hand, and she scored a point.
Burton to serve for Radford. Wilhite plays the ball. And it's off. Paige rolls it in, and it's overpassed. Quick play. Hannah Tapp gets the kill.
It's really nice to see, even though Hannah is a freshman and new to the collegiate game, that she's able to manage the plays. You know, the set wasn't quite where she wanted. She's had a couple missed connects, but she still keeps the ball in play and usually gets a kill.
Actually, the whole front row right now for the Gophers are freshmen. You don't see that very often. It's nice to see them getting playing time and getting in there. And Wilhite's hands aren't quite over. Point Radford on that one. Minnesota 21, Radford 5. Minnesota's just 4 points away from moving on to play Colorado tomorrow night. Deininger back to serve for Radford. Palmer's out to Wilhite. Radford gets a piece of it. We got at-net play, and Radford gets the point there.
And as you see, as this set progresses, Coach McCutcheon made some substitutions. He's putting some other players into the court to get them that valuable NCAA experience, just in case an injury happens and he needs them to come in. But you want them to maintain the same level of play and intensity that the starters had. Unfortunately, the Gophers have seen a little bit of a drop in play. You know, new bodies out there. They want to get this side out and finish this set off on a high note.
Yeah, it's always tough when there's a lot of new bodies at once, too. Deininger still serving for the Highlanders. Lawmaster tagged high on the shoulder, and Palmer putting up to Wilhite. Keeps it in. It's a tight pass. Palmer back to Tapp. Wachecki catches Tapp's outer hand. Block for Minnesota.
Yes, it was nice to see on that block. The Tapp twins were up blocking the left side Radford hitter together, and they were able to get that point for their hometown.
And new middle blocker for the Gophers, Cecilia DeFelice, number 18, comes in for Tori Dixon. Big block by Paige Tapp. And Whitman is there to save it one-handed. Felice keeps it in. Jackson putting it up for Burton. Jackson playing great defense for Radford. There's that middle tip to that spot again. Unsuccessful this time. Wilhite goes for high hands and gets it. There is a touch on that ball.
You know, Dana, I really like that swing by outside hitters challenging the block high. It's a risky shot, though, because you could miss the block and hit it out of bounds, or you could hit the block, but not enough for the refs to see. Thankfully, though, the line judge was able to catch that call.
It's out to Wachecki, and she catches the antenna looking to get that line again. That has been a tough shot for her all night. And Minnesota is on game point. Minnesota 24, Radford 7. And Lawmaster is back to serve for the Gophers. Burton takes it. And that's a point for Cantrell. She did really well earlier, so it's good to see her firing up here the last bit.
Radford is not ready to be done with their season quite yet. They are fighting for this match, fighting for every point they can possibly earn. That was a nice pass set and attack by Radford's offense.
And that will be it. The Gophers take the third set. They beat Radford 3-0. Last score 25-8 in the third set. Minnesota will take on Colorado tomorrow night at 7 p.m.
You know, Dana, this was a really great match between both teams. Minnesota had the home court advantage. They definitely used that as something that they could take home. They scored a lot of points, having a lot of offensive power. Radford did the best they could, getting great blocks and touches as we saw throughout the entire match. It just wasn't quite enough for them to get out the victory. Now Minnesota has the task of scouting and preparing. They have a long road ahead of them with a tough match tomorrow. Colorado came out and played very well versus Iowa State. They had great defensive pursuits, a lot of offensive options, and I think it'll be a great match between them and the Gophers tomorrow.
And we're going to talk to Abby Clear, who has Ashley Whitman.
I'm here with Minnesota senior Ashley Whitman. Ashley, how does it feel to have won the first round of the NCAA tournament on your home court?
You know, it feels good, and the team played great, and we played awesome, and it's nice to just see us fight, you know, whether it's first round or the last round, but it was nice to play in front of the fans, and I'm excited to do it tomorrow.
Awesome, yeah, so tomorrow you are going to take on Colorado. What are you going to do between then and now to prepare?
You know, we're going to get lots of sleep, get some food, we're going to scout them, and then we'll have a short practice tomorrow and, you know, be ready to battle.
All right, thank you so much for talking with us, and good game. All right, back to you guys.
And we will be back with you guys at the Sports Pavilion tomorrow night, 7 p.m. to watch the Minnesota Golden Gophers take on the Colorado Buffaloes here for the second round of the NCAA volleyball tournament. Thank you and good night.